Yes.
Okay, so today I would like to show you a new approach in AI embedded in the hardware, so a little bit different, that can enable both health but also better care. But before that, let me say a few words on ST. I think it's not familiar for you, even if you use our product every day in your mobile, in your car, in your home, in the city around you. So really, especially with the MEMS. However, we are not even a medical device company, and we are not in pharma sector. We do technology basically, but however, ST is not just a component supplier. But I tell you why. We have two different approaches in health. On one side, we provide the state-of-the-art technology and products, the same used like MEMS or microcontroller connectivity. We can now summarize in one slide, let's see. This has already transformed the digital sector in consumer, industrial, in automotive. And we want to do the same in healthcare, providing solution as is. On the other side, we have other approach, and that means support our customer in developing disruptive technology or solution. Three examples here. The ultrasound, we have a new technology that can really democratize the ultrasound to arrive to a form factor of a patch. You can imagine also with AI included. We work in the portable diagnostic, so for infectious disease, including COVID, we have a solution there. We work with our customer, or in remote monitoring for cardiac disease or others. In this case, the approach is more provide complementary skills in order to let them build the next generation of the medical device. So this is the two approach to summarize. The IoT medical market actually is a huge market. It's already achieved 10 billion devices, which it's amazing if you think that is exceeding the number we are in the world. Of course, the AI drive this type of solution and technology. And the cloud especially is the dominating technology because of the needs of having this massive quantity of data to analyze and the strong processing power required. We cannot talk about real healthcare system without 5G. And this is required, this no latency is required, or at least very few. In terms of example of technology that is already a reality are actuators. Is a technical name, but at the end is the virtual reality, augmented reality is made by this, technology, and has already reshaped the interaction between the device and the patient, and in turn between the patient and the doctor. So really healthcare is changing. We have witnessed all the transformations. So the MEMS journey, what we call the MEMS journey, starting in 2000 when we were at the offline area, because at that time these were really mere concepts. No one understood even what to do with this kind of technology until they opened they changed the interaction between man and machine in the consumer market, and then we progress elsewhere. During the online area in 2010, they started the proliferation of the sensor, more and more used, and start the connection to the cloud. Where we are now is in the on-life area. Where we can say that there is a fusion between technology and life. This is true. These devices are more intelligent, can able to sense, to process, to also take decision, take action. So this is where we are. We are in the area of the real world data. I think that if we look at the healthcare overall, it was changed before the COVID. Okay, the value-based approach is something started before, with the patient at the center of everything, of the system. The COVID has indeed accelerated the needs to have this continuous monitoring the patient in the real life and at home. So not more in the healthcare system. I think anyway this approach and more in the future will smooth the boundaries between the different stakeholders, between pharma, medtech, healthcare, where the patient is still at the center, but maybe it will be new business model, new partnership, even with technology like we do. And among the technology that, in any case, there are many. All the IoT device, of course, can address all the segments from well-being, lifestyle, to medicine and therapeutics. Even digital therapeutics is quite interesting. But among this technology, for sure, AI, I think we agree, is the most important, is the most interesting, but has a lot of challenge. There are two approaches to deploy AI. The most common is what we have heard so far, so the cloud, the centralized approach. The centralized approach means that there is no computation, computation before arriving to the cloud. So the data provided from sensor directed to the cloud. This has some cons. The pros, that of course it's a strong power as a single element. But on the other side, there are privacy issues, bandwidth, and so on. Let's take an example. We have speech recognition from a remote controller. The data from the microphone should be transferred to the cloud. And this means that they have to pass through multiple, nodes from different companies, from different networks, creating privacy issue. This is the most important problem. To overcome this problem, there is the second approach, which is the edge. But with the edge, even this terminology, we mean different things. With the edge, I mean that there is a hardware level, so from the sensor itself, or the node, or the gateway. So it means that the data are not transferred actually, can be stored into the hardware, but can be processed at the level of the hardware. I think that the two approaches will coexist because at the end they focus on different aspects. When you focus on the edge, you get the data directly from the hardware, so from the person. That's why you keep privacy, because are stored locally, and not only from the person itself, but also from the context around. So it's real the data you need to observe. On the other side, the cloud is much important. It's much important because as we have heard, you need more complex algorithms to make different correlations. So this is why the two make sense. In terms of edge AI, so why is so important for health, or can be important also for patient care? I think we agree that each other are pretty different. You know? We all have a different way to act, to behave. There are a lot of factors on top of genetic factor, of course, that influence our lifestyle. But also the environment, what we call the context, influence the lifestyle. So if we can take under control a little bit this variability directly from the person, which is healthy, or a patient, we go more in the direction of precision medicine, that actually we are not yet there. So before, in the evolution of the medicine, before talking to prediction and prevention, which is absolutely required, it's very important to understand why we are different, why we have the same disease and have different symptoms than you, or maybe the reaction to the drug is different, even for a non-factorial disease. So, of course, there are many factors ongoing, and that's why the age might focus on precision, so on this variability, or at least a part of this variability, the cloud is absolutely required for the reason we say, because this variability can be correlated to further factors, including the drug discovery database or many others, in order to have a prediction of prevention, which is at the end the final goal of AI. I have no doubt, but we have a small role maybe, but overall I think both are important to get there. Wherever the AI project is, for sure there are different types of challenges in terms of the data set, in terms of the data science you have, or dependency on the cloud, memory, or energy consumption. I forgot to mention that, but I will continue afterwards to explain you a little bit better. These are, the edge AI is very low power, because especially at sensor level, you don't consume power, you don't switch off the microcontroller, and basically there is no power consumption. So this means that the wearable, whenever you use wearable, the medical device using this, stay longer. So it can be used for a longer time. And finance, and last but not least, normally is quite heavy. So I think we agree that medical application price sensitive data and the privacy is number first. What I said before with this keeping the data stored in your sensor, so around you, with you, you don't have privacy issue anymore. If we want to summarize, I don't pretend these are all the main challenge of adoption, but for sure security, understanding also, because I think with the AI, the healthcare is even now more complicated than before. I know it's maybe too much, but at the end, this is true. And so whatever can help in understanding this data, get value, really understand why I should use, which data I have to use, and security in terms, it's an important step. There are different levels on which we can discuss this. So security, cybersecurity could be overcome by design. So already in the silicon, there are different products that allow already encryption, authentication, security transfer already in the hardware. So whatever the device, medical device, or wearable can be solved there. On top of data understanding with the AI, with this approach, when you understand better and you provide on top of the privacy. We understand that validation is important. We cannot talk about any new option or solution without demonstrate this is valid. This is another problem of AI, demonstrate that this makes sense. And for this, we rely on our partners, customers, but also academics. So whoever is interested in validating this solution, try in specific use case. And I will make some example. So let's start to go a bit in deep what it is. So the edge AI we are talking about are two levels in the hardware. A level of the sensor. When we say sensor, I'm saying accelerometer, inertial sensor are those that you use in your phone, and I use it for mobility, so human mobility. Ultra low power for the reason I said before, and this is based on machine learning course. So starting from the machine learning, especially the decision tree approach. On the other side, we talk about the different hardware, which is the microcontroller, which is the engine of the device. In this case, still machine learning, but also deep learning. I will show you both. In principle, the machine learning core, just to say, it is very easy to use this type of approach. There are 5 micro steps. Basically, the first step is define the classes. So you start from your data. You start from the real world data. You define your classes to be recognized. Then you label the data. When labeling can be or directly from the person or the context around, so the environment, filtering and featuring. Then it's possible to build the decision tree with a specific tool, of course, program, and then run. It looks long, but you will see in the example, we just take 8 weeks, and depends on use case. But the beauty of using machine learning core inside the sensor is this a combination of the fact that you don't transfer the data on the cloud, so for the privacy issue, and also the low power. The other approach is on the microcontroller. What does it mean? That without a machine learning, the standard programming implies that you have your general algorithm, your input data, and then you have the desired output. But for that, you need expertise. You need that you don't have that the system do not evolve with the environment. While with machine learning, you already have this inside, and you generate the machine learning model that is already trained for a specific issue you want to see or behavior you want to see. So this means that you learn with the environment. And for this, there are 2 types of approach. Even if I'm an expert, I belong to an IT team or not, there are, first of all, 2 different types of library that can be done: anomaly detection or classification. Anomaly detection means that I can distinguish between an abnormal behavior versus abnormal behavior. It could be an equipment issue. It could be a vital sign. It could be anything I wanna see, or classification. So it means that you can classify a problem or a vital sign, or again another example. There are two different tools. The name here, Studio and CubeAI. Of course, the two library can be chained, can be combined. So I can first detect an anomaly, and then I want to classify that. So this is the approach. With the studio, just to say, is a way to design the library. So whatever is, again, or anomaly detection or classification. In this case, what happened is that you can design the library and load directly in the microcontroller where it learn and infer inside. This is a nice approach. The other solution indeed is different. There is no, as for expert, you do not design your specific library for small amount of data, but here you can really work on your standard framework and build your own neural network, and then optimize and tune into the microcontroller. This is a different approach. Also, we reduce it. I will show you some example. In terms of example, before showing these, there are two. The first validation, let's say, the first partnership that we are working on is one with the academy. Academy is an important axis of the strategy because we have chosen University College of London. To make the example I will show you, this is also a way to let the students understand more on this technology. One of the problems that we see is that in any case, there is a lack of learning inside university about this new, especially not only the standard hardware, but also the new one that we develop and continue to develop. So this is also a way to help this university to learn more and more. And in the future, when we'll be in a medical company or in pharma, so they will be, teaching with this type of and have experience, which is more than just a teacher, of course, but we'll know more and more this. The other example is a startup, which is a Panoramic Digital Health. This is the opposite case. So expert teams in AI that has their own idea on a wearable and wants to use our product. Let's start from University College of London. They made a proof of concept starting from scratch. Really, they didn't know at all our hardware, has no idea what it was, and also the machine learning inside. So the idea was why we don't augment the mobility test. For example, you know that the clinical assessment tests are made by just a timer. The doctor look at the one person by one. The idea is that, of course, everyone moves in a different way, and so it's try to understand. Independency is an important even vital sign. Mobility is one of the vital sign actually, because it really affect our daily life. So the idea was starting with available hardware that has actually a lot of sensor, all the broad range of sensor we have, from both environment but also from the motion. Try to figure out where located the sensor in the body to have the best performance. Detect three classes: sitting, standing, and walking. The basis of the movement we do daily, but of course it's different, no? Then the decision tree with the 5 steps I showed before, now summarized in 3 for slight reason. And then the output, what is? It's the different time spent in doing this movement. And with the idea to, again, first understand the basis. In a proof of concept, you just assess the idea, and then in the future, validate in clinical. So you understand better and better the difference between people, how much, and predict and understand and identify patterns of movement that in the future transfer to the cloud and connect with the rest, and also with other database, can understand better the prediction of these maybe defective movement or abnormal movement into the application, into the real case. Just to show you this very basic movement and the machine learning. Unfortunately, the video is not perfectly correct, but we are going to share in the social. So happy to share with you the right one without you what I see here. But in any case, it automatically detects these classes. When there is that detection, the machine learning start working. So that's why is also another reason why it don't consume energy. It's also activated when it's required. Of course, the young lady here, you see how fast she is, but in a normal situation in clinics or people having different type of problems, different age, of course, the effect is different. So this is the University College of London. The other example is a Panoramic Digital Health. It's an innovative startup. They are hosted in our site in Grenoble. They are working on wearable. One application is mobility for the same reason on top of sitting, standing, and walking. Also, stair climbing is important, again, for having a normal life. This wearable has the machine learning integrated in the sensor, in the motion sensor. And for the reason I said before, is you maximize battery life. It's 4 times. So basically, and in some cases, we also realize about a different application, even 1,000 times. So really, the usage of these has a strong impact in the wearable system. Another interesting application of panoramic digital health is scratching. I think many of you knows that many people has this problem, and different age. Eczema is one of these. There are different drugs. There are even expensive drugs used for understanding this and fighting this problem. Also, new treatment ongoing. The interesting stuff is that, as I said before, on top to other activity, you can have also this type of detection. You can detect stretching. In particular, I show you a video where there is wearable and is able to detect, thanks to the accelerometer inside, the stretching. So how many it happens, when it happens, and also for drug adherence, that could be interesting to match. Now, for the digital therapeutics is one of the applications. Stairs climbing, the same. The accelerometer allow you to detect the movement and the pressure sense of the fact that you are moving on different stairs. This wearable at the end is different from the rest because of these three reasons: for the motion sensor inside with the machine learning and the environmental sensor. So again, to summarize this type of platform with this example, you have adaptive data because, of course, you can decide how many times and how long detect your data for months, for different weeks. So it's really flexible. Low energy for the reason I said before. Labeling the data, again, the variability, I can associate the variability of the movement of the person itself with the condition of the environment around him. That was the concept before. This is for wearable. And another thing is important why we work with the panoramic. Again, we are not a medical device company, so of course we need the link to regulatory environment, and this is working on clinical trial for some application. What about using both? I think with the real world use case, the type of complexity will increase. So maybe we need to detect contemporarily different type of anomalies or problems or conditions. So why we don't make an example when we use both on sensor side and the microcontroller? Let's assume that I want to see a mobility issue. With the reason before, I use the smart sensor, the embedded decision tree, and I want to detect, for example, if I'm sitting or standing, and if this happens, I want a flag. In parallel, I might have my microcontroller inside the device and say, I want to check my ECG signal. If this ECG signal is abnormal, I want a flag. And I use, in this case, the CubeAI. So the library is made elsewhere, okay, developed elsewhere, and embedded to recognize this signal detection. Let's make the third example. I want to check PPG signal. So in this case, I can have another sensor, an imaging sensor that can detect the PPG, and with the rest of the microcontroller, neural network done outside, and so on, I can detect or SpO2 or also blood pressure, and if happens, have a flag. So in this case, you can understand how I can take under control my daily life, if I have problem, and then of course connect and interface with the doctor. But I can take better under control even my well-being. In the last example, I just concluded the example with this. The team in ST has worked with a different type of library, external library available, database of hypertension for blood pressure, and with different kind of course, grade, but focusing on grade A. Mimic, which is another database, which is multiple parameter. In this case, there are ECG, BPG, BP, and again with the right values. And then we have the image sensor detecting PPG. With the concept we say before, so basically taking the neural network, so this library using and feeding the STM32, so the microcontroller with this, selecting, so filtering for PPG, then it was possible to measure the device, so with the imaging sensor on the finger for PPG, and detect blood pressure, comparing this from 10 people, 10 patients, and comparing this value with the standard Pharma, so extraction measurement, and the grade was equivalent. If you see here, the blood pressure is yes artificial, but is compared with the real data is very close. So the output was a grade A equivalent. If we look at also the occupation of the memory that you see below in the microcontroller is negligible. So here is just to make some example in how possible and different combination can be done in a complex use case as an example, practical example, but even more gone, and we hope to explore with the partners. So just to conclude on the tools, again, depends on the complexity on AI. There is a lower in the sense of much higher arriving to the cloud. There are different approach, different type of hardware and different type of tools that of course I don't describe here, but sure we can discuss more. Important for us, partnership. Partnership is really the most important activity we are doing in health. We approach, even if in the value chain we are at the ground, maybe minus something, for sure we are no important player. On the other side, we are technology providers. So we like to interact directly to pharma, to medtech, or again, academy, so CRO, so whoever is willing to understand more and use this type of technology that I cannot mention all we have, but here we make the sample in order to really face some issues, solve some issues. So the approach we have is first identifying the use case together, or directly with ST team, or indirectly with our partners like Panoramic. It depends on the solution, it depends on the project. Then agree together which is the best solution, which is the best hardware, the best firmware, the best software. That's why we involve all the chain in this type of project, make the proof of concept together, move to validate from technical validation to the business validation and scale up. I just remind you that if at the beginning I say we sold 25 billion of MEMS, that's for us is our DNA. Is simply complex. We understand that the healthcare is more complex, but that's why we wanna approach in the right way with the right partners. I just want to conclude with some message that hope you will remind. So really along the last 20 years, we have seen and witnessed a lot of innovation using sensors, actuators, processing. Really, we have already transformed the rest of the sectors. So we are willing to support and help in healthcare as well. The artificial intelligence at the edge and in the edge how we want to call, is a valid tool for, as we say, precision medicine, but for sure to take more under control and to give more value to the data directly from the people. Cybersecurity is an important obstacle for AI adoption, and we believe that by design it can be at least solved in some cases, if not in every case. We are looking for partnership, happy to discuss the different cases, and especially for Panoramic, for the platform enabled by MLSE. Is already starting with some clinical trial, but we believe that might be used for some new approach, or especially pharma are early adopters of these. We have seen some cases, we have seen more and more. Happy to discuss even more. I thank you for your time. If you have a question, happy to discuss today.
Thank you, Oriana. That was a wonderful presentation. I could just see a few questions in the chat box from Ms. Brittany. She's asking, what does the future of healthcare look like for populations which are not yet tech savvy?
Is it not yet?
Tech savvy. I'll just share the question here in the chat box.
No, I understand. Yeah. That's why we are, let's say, fostering also the awareness of this, because it's true that that is not for everyone. It's true, but more and more, let's say, we see this is there are many ways to simplify things. So I think that our job in terms of technology is to simplify as much as possible. With the mobile phone, we have seen this at the beginning. Who could see or could imagine that so many people in the world will use this, even if not even young. Of course, there will be some limit. It's not really for everyone, but then in the future, allow these more and more to simplify, and I'm sure that will continue. So in any case, when you start population, you need to start from, before arriving to population, you need to start from ourselves, no? The single, then the group, then the healthcare providers, so really people, and then you think overall. With the consumer market, it was easier because there was no regulation, it was no, so even evolving, it was much easier in that sector. What made complex in pharma or medtech is the regulation is quite strong. So I think that most of the partnership and changes should be there, should be the way they interact each other to make things more accessible to everyone. And then it's not a problem of technology. Be sure the technology is simpler. It's designed to be simple. So it's and can be done even more. Exactly. I hope I answered your question.
Yes. So there is one more question. How intelligence at the healthcare edge saves lives?
Okay, so with the alert, we already see some. So at the moment, the machine learning integrated is not yet in the market. Let's say is in the market, but not in healthcare. So what you see or different approach, or different is more approach in a different way. But the intention is even always the same. So if you have something wrong and you get an alert, you take action. Maybe you are not a doctor, so if I see as happened, or I see my mobile that's saying there is something wrong, I at least alert myself and I stop doing what I'm doing and check. So I think this is a way to save life. If you see monitoring, continuous monitoring, and even if you're an expert or no, okay, because of course, if you're an expert, you're going deep in the data and you have an Excel file and you know exactly what you do every day. If you are not, you just see the alert from the app or whatever tool you use. It's enough to say, okay, there is something wrong in my different vital sign. That could be ECG in one case, or my respiratory is not. Now more and more wearable integrate everything. and in the future will be more complex. That's why both approach makes sense, because you have some wearable that, despite can do many things and cannot do anything. So you need different tools interact each other and understand better what is the case. So that this is the way it save life. Save life because inform you. Is you are informed, you can take decision, action. You can also decide to not do nothing. It's up to you, but at least you are aware.